So moving along here, we will talk about a program that was a late change here in terms of the coaching carousel, which has led to this move at the quarterback spot. Drew Pyne, former Notre Dame, Arizona State, Missouri quarterback, is headed to Bowling Green. And Eddie George, who's now the head coach over there, looks like he has this guy in Pyne, ton of experience. And if you're him, you have to be pretty excited about this situation, stepping in as a starter. Coming from Missouri, where it didn't look like he was necessarily going to win that job as some other guys have emerged, but can really provide a lot of value to Eddie George in year one here.
Yeah, I think Horn and Prabula, especially Prabula, I think had the leg up there, but Pyne is somebody who going into the G5 level is going to bring just a world of experience. He's been a winning quarterback, 8-2 in 10 games as a starting quarterback for Notre Dame, 2,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 picks in his last season. That's strong numbers. Last year was more of a part-time role, but he did have an incredible comeback against Oklahoma. The only game he actually started the whole game, November 9th, 391 yards, 3 touchdowns, 61% passing on the season overall. So he's somebody who I think the thing that surprised me the most probably was the fact they had 2 years of eligibility after being at Arizona State, Notre Dame, Missouri, still got 2 years left. So the experience and the age factor is huge. And shout out to Eddie George, man. Eddie George got to Tennessee State, built them up slowly, ultimately winning a conference championship, their first trip to the playoff in over a decade. So this is not just Eddie George, the running back that we saw at Ohio State and Tennessee Titans. This is the coach who took a program that wasn't doing well, built them into something that is strong. Now going into Bowling Green at the FBS level and getting a quarterback that he can trust. Won't join him for spring because he's already had his spring there with Missouri, but we'll join him in the summer. We'll join him in for the rest of the year. And of course is going to hit the ground running because of the wealth of experience that he brings.
And look, this is a Bowling Green situation that he's stepping into, as he said, that he wanted to have the opportunity to go play for Eddie George. He said the returning offensive line is strong and experienced, and a program that's very good, played in 3 straight bowl games, and can compete for a championship. They finished 3rd in the MAC last year, and Scott Loeffler left because the Eagles hired him, right? So it's not like you're talking about a guy who was fired. So the program has been in a healthy spot. So you're coming in, if you're Eddie George, and you're saying, all right, this isn't a complete rebuild in terms of where we are in the scope of the conference. And if you're Pyne, you're saying, man, the guy who's leaving here is an offensive coach, so the personnel here can't be that bad. And you're bringing in Eddie George, who, at the end of the day, I'm sure he wants to have an opportunity to play at the next level. And he's probably thinking, if I can do a good job here, then the connections with Coach George and all that can help my standing at the next level. So I think this could be potentially a win-win for everybody.
I think so. And Bowling Green not only did have a good season, they were close to some upsets. I remember that Penn State game, man. They gave Penn State everything they could handle.
Texas A&M.
Yeah. So they're close. And a guy like this in Pyne, who has won a lot of games, I'm talking about 9 wins at the highest levels of football, is nothing to sneeze at. And then the fact that, given the competition, and then the fact that he's just old, right? 24 years old, 2 years old. He's going to be like one of these like Chris Wanke type quarterbacks by the time he graduates, but that's fine. He'll have experience. Guys will gravitate towards him because they know he's been there before, and he's going to step right in. It's not ideal that he missed spring, but the fact that he has so much experience, I think, makes you feel better. He'll be enrolling here in a month, so it's not like he's going to be too much of a late arrival. I think it is a big boost for Eddie George, taking something that was not broken, trying to elevate that program like he did at Tennessee State. He'll do it differently than Deion Sanders. It's not going to be as flashy up there in the glass capital of the world near Toledo, Ohio. It's not going to be as flashy as you may have seen with Deion. But I think the fact that he has credibility, that he's not a rookie, he coached at the FCS level, at the HBCU level, and succeeded and built something and has learned lessons along the way, I think is huge. I'm excited to see how this plays out with Eddie George, just because Deion was such a one-off kind of thing. With Eddie George having success at Tennessee State, if he has success here at Bowling Green in the MAC, now you might see more former players of that caliber do it this way, elevate an HBCU program, and then have success at the FBS level. Hopefully that's what you see with Eddie George and Bowling Green. Drew Pyne, big step in the right direction.
Yeah, and Bowling Green's quarterback last year, Connor Bazelak, is a former Missouri guy as well. So a little bit of a tie there. He did have a stop at Indiana in between Missouri and Bowling Green, but hey, that's the name of the game these days. You're going to see a lot of these journeymen who, for whatever reason, it didn't work out at previous stops. But I think this could be a really good one for all sides, as we've talked about. So, Bowling Green fans, I know you're excited about everything that Coach George is doing. We're going to have you guys covered here as we head into the summertime. Expect them to be pretty aggressive here in the portal, considering that late coaching move as well. Probably going to be more aggressive than anyone, I would think, out there in terms of just the sheer numbers that they bring in. So we'll be very interested to keep a close eye on that.
And this helps because you can tell receivers, hey, or tight ends, whoever, running backs, offensive linemen, you got a veteran proven quarterback that's won at the power forward level that's going to be at the helm. You have faith that this is not going to be some sort of total rebuild job. We're trying to hit the ground running and elevate what is already a solid program to that next level.
All right. Appreciate everyone who's been on with us live. As you can see, we're getting back in the rhythm here. We got double digits back live here. So getting back to where we want to be. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, everybody. And thank you all for watching.